It is the 17th of March, and we're having an interview with Harold Ellshoff concerning the Marshall City Band and the bandstand. What was the first year that the bandstand was, and the band that was actually put together?
I mean, the bandstand,
Or
the city band.
the city band?
The city band was organized in 1875,
Okay. About
and,
how?
and the fellow that organized it was Professor L.A. Wallace. And he was a
Okay.
professor well, I think it used to be a college here, where the Northside School used to be, and he's the one that started the band and organized in 1875.
Okay. At that time and then now, what is the general type of music that is played? Is it more of a concert setting, or do they do a lot of marches?
Well, back years ago, it's pretty much the same now. The only difference is that you got your show tunes and your movies and from your movies and stuff like that will be played more and more, and some of your pop tunes. But basically back years ago it was marches and overtures is what it was. And of course pop tunes of that era too. They played a lot of popular music too.
Okay. What are just so when we go to post this on the internet, what are some of the songs that they play? So like if like other band organizations look at this, they can have a feel of what's played across the area.
Of course they played a lot of your marches that we play today. Most your John Philip Sousa marches and your Carl King marches, and they played overtures like the William Tell Overture, Peak Dom, Light Cavalry, Point and Peasant, all that kind of stuff. And some of the songs back then, one was Marching Along Together, was a kind of a singing song, and Oh, Take Me Out to the Ball Game, and just really songs of that era, the late 1800s and early 1900s.
Okay. What is the average number of members per year?
I'd say the average number of members is usually around 40.
40.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when it was first started, was it that amount, or was it just
No,
a
when it
small
first
number?
started, they had maybe 15 or 20. My granddad, my mother's dad, was in the band. He played drums, and I'd say then they had about 15 to 20.
Okay.
And I've got a picture of 1901 band, and there's two clarinets, and all the rest of it was brass.
Hmm.
And,
So when it got started, it was mainly just a brass band,
yeah,
and then later
mhm.
became a woodwind concert
Oh yeah,
band
right.
type setting.
Yeah. Back years ago in the 1800s, mostly all your bands was brass bands, and then eventually your flutes and piccolos, clarinets and stuff. You always had piccolos in all your brass bands, but then your clarinets and stuff and your horns started coming in, and then of course a little later on they went to French horns instead of your old alto horns, what you used to call peck horns. They played the afterbeat, and the bassist played the downbeat.
Okay. When does the band generally perform? I do know they go through the summer, but like, do they start up like before the summer?
Well, we usually start the 1st of May for rehearsals, and our first engagement is always Memorial Day, and then our concerts are in June, July, and biggest part of August. We try to go through August. Sometimes school starts earlier, and you can't go as long as you want to.
Right.
But
Now they perform like every week then, right?
every week, every
Every
Friday
week.
night, yes.
Okay.
And now we play for the 4th of July also.
Okay. How many directors of the band have there been?
Well, I think I'm the 6th one. The first one was Professor L.A. Wallace. Then there was William Rector. And there was Harold Bright, and he went from here to Indiana State University.
Okay.
And Herman Dickoff from Terre Haute, he directed for a while. Drew Castile was the director. Charlie Trez played, but he directed once in a while, but mainly Drew Castile. Then after Drew Castile, then there was Vaughn Arney, and he retired in 1964, and he was a music teacher here at the high school, and grade school and high school. And then when he retired in '64, then I took over the band.
Okay. who built the first bandstand? From my understanding, that bandstand has since been redone since it was originally built.
It's been repaired and it hasn't been rebuilt as such, but it's basically the same bandstand when it was built. It was built in 1929.
Okay.
And it's still the same bandstand. Of course, they've done some renovation to it, new roof, and this last spring they put in new posts. Of course, the leather were rotting off with the concrete, and they drilled and put all new posts around the old post and redid all that. But basically, it's still the same bandstand.
Okay. Now you said it was built in 1929, right?
1929.
At that time, about how much would it cost to build a bandstand like that? Do you have any idea?
At that time, no, I wouldn't have any idea. A lot of this was donated because my dad told me that Kirshner's and a lot of people around town donated materials and labor and stuff to build it. And I don't know who the builders were at that time, because that's the year I was born.
All right. Why did Marshall decide to have a city band? Because there's other towns like Casey and Martinsville that have as much music involvement as Marshall does. Yet Marshall's the only city, the only town in the county that has a city band.
Well, Casey tries to have a city band. I don't know whether they did last year or not. They used to have a city band. I used to play in it back years ago. But I don't know. Of course, a lot of your little towns always started some kind of little brass band, and some bands kept going, and some bands folded and just didn't go. I think it was mainly for your personnel, your schools, and stuff like that. And of course, back years ago, high school kids couldn't play in the city band. And then when I started, I was maybe one of the first high school kids could play in high school. I played when I was in grade school, in the 8th grade of grade school, so I started playing. And but that's so funny, when the high school kids started coming in, then a lot of the older fellas started dropping out. And
what are your feelings towards the band? Do you see the band continuing on until the year 2000?
I do, yes, I do. As long as I'm here, and of course, whenever somebody take over, I'm sure somebody will take over and keep it going. I feel that way because I feel like Marshall is so ordinary. Well, they're so used to the city band, and by being part of the city, city functions, I think it'll keep on going.
Okay. From my understanding, you volunteer to be in the band, but yet you get paid at the end of the year. So, how's that all work?
Well, of course, back years ago it was volunteer, and they'd pass the hat and try to get a little money to buy music and stuff like that. And then I don't know when it came into effect, but there's a what they call a band law, the Iowa band law. In fact, Carl King is the one that got the Iowa band law started. And through your taxes, your property tax, you used to have personal tax, you don't anymore, but through your property taxes, there's a certain mill of each dollar goes for the band fund. You have your library fund, you have your other funds, your schools, your fire departments, ambulance, now all this, and that's how it got started. And what happened, we kept putting in appropriation. You had to put a new appropriation every year. Well, our tax money just wasn't. We never did get exactly what. Of course, you can appropriate anything, but whether you get it or not, that's something else. And we weren't getting what we were wanting, and so we went before the city council and asked them if there was any way they could help us out. And they said at that time that whatever our tax money is, why then they'd match it. So that's why we're getting the amount of money we do get.
Okay. Now, does the band perform anywhere but in Marshall? Would they go over to like Terre Haute?
No, we don't go to Terre Haute. We basically don't go any place. Now, the last 2 years, we've gone to Greenup and played a concert. And then last year, we went to Greenup and also West Union. Okay. And a few years ago, we did go to West Union for the West Union Parade. We'd play the West Union Parade and then play a concert. And that kind of fizzled out due to politicians.
Now, nowadays, is the band open to anybody, or is it just high school and adults? Or
Well, it's open to anybody, but we like to have people students that are going into the freshman year. Like
Okay.
this year, everybody graduates this spring. They're going to be freshmen next year, so they're eligible to come into the band. And
Okay.
of course, we have it now that if there's any sections that are overloaded, well, then we can have auditions. Try to eliminate. But you get so overloaded in some sections, and it's just overbalanced.
Right.
And I try to have a halfway decent balanced band.
Okay. Um, does does the band try to help out, um, say on like an individual basis, like send people to camps
No.
or anything like that?
We did start a kind of like a scholarship fund, and I think we do say it helps. We did help send 2 kids to band camp. Now we didn't back several years ago, but we do now.
Okay.
And I think that through the school, your music teacher and stuff like that helps decide who would be that. And I think we have 2 of them help out on it's like a scholarship fund for people to go to band camp.
Okay. To be in the band, do you have to be a resident of Marshall, or can
No,
you come from?
no, you don't have to be a resident. It helps, but like in some sections, you're so low on certain players. Why sometimes I have to get somebody from out of town to come in and help play. Just like that one fellow in Terre Haute, Kenny Stargewald, he comes over and helps us play.
Okay.
And once in a while I have, sometimes I'll ask other people to come in once in a while on a concert and play. But basically everybody's right from Marshall.
All right. Well, that's all the questions we have right now.
Okay.
Concerning the band. You've been a great help.
Well, thank you.
It's taken us some time. We've been digging and looking, and it's plumb hard to find some information on the bandstand.
Yeah.
And so hopefully by doing this project and everything, there'll be more information available, and just so people will be able to have an understanding of everything.
I don't know if you
how-
can find if you can find some of the old Democrats or the old Marshall Herald papers, which I don't know whether they've got any more left or not, but if you find back like in the year 1929, it'd go through an awful lot of papers. There might be
Yes.
something else. Of course, I don't know.
Okay.
All I'm going by is what my dad told me, and also what Drew Castile told me.
So
And,
there's a lot of oral history involved, but not a whole
Yeah.
lot of it's been written down.
Not that I know of.
Okay.
But I think if you go back, the way I found out about when the band was organized, it was in the Marshall Herald paper, and we found an 1875 paper that finally had a list in there, had a thing in there to tell about when the band was started.
Okay. So then, hopefully by this, we might be able to put it. I don't know if Marshall celebrates its sesquicentennial or what coming up here soon. Not being originally here from Marshall, I don't really know. But maybe if they do something special, we can include this interview and the information that
Sure.
has been found out.
That'd be fine. Yeah.
Alright. Well, we thank you a bunch.
Well, you're sure welcome.
And I'll go ahead and shut
Hope you
this
help
thing
you
off.
out a little bit.
Not you. A lot.